bus lanes are great. It's like filtering, but and the biggest machine on the road. Good afternoon, YouTube. Calm Biker here. Just out for another quick ride. Unfortunately, I've been riding for quite a while, and I've recorded two vlogs or vlogs before I realised that I'd forgotten, after nipping into the shop, to plug my microphone in. So I suspect that they are going into the Windows recycle bin. Anyway, so today I want to start with a question, and it's a question that anybody who's been driving or riding for any period of time is going to know the answer to straight away. But I'm going to ask it anyway. And the question is, you're at a side junction waiting to join a main road. Now this is in the UK, so American or places where they drive on the right, I assume left is right and right is left. Thanks for that very much, Mr. Audi driver. Told you, Skeggy Cruiser. Some of those BMWs have now bought Audis. So yeah, back to the question. So you're, like this car is here, waiting to turn out of a junction or pull out of a junction, and there's a car coming along the main road and it's indicating to the left. And the question is, what does that mean? And as I say, anybody with any experience of riding or driving obviously knows the answer immediately. And the answer is, it means that his indicator works. What it doesn't mean is that he's turning left. It might mean that he's just turned left onto the main road and he forgot to cancel his indicator, or it didn't self-cancel. It might mean he was adjusting the radio and he caught it with his sleeve, and now the indicator's on and he's carrying on in a straight line. Or it might mean that he intends to pull in and really is indicated a little bit early, because he's pulling in just after the junction that you're about to ride out of. And of course, in any of those situations, aside from the one where he probably 50% of the time, well, probably more than 50% of the time, he actually is turning left. But any of those situations, aside from that, if you pull out, you're going to have a bad day. And you're going to have a much worse day, more than likely, than that car driver. Now, this isn't a video where I'm going to grumble about car drivers. Obviously, apart from that Audi back there. This is actually a video to highlight a problem that I have quite often. When I first started riding, I really had. And the problem's this. When I first started riding, I found that probably 50% of the corners that I went around, I would indicate, I would turn, and I would forget to take the indicator off. So it wasn't observation, signal, manoeuvre. It was observation, signal, manoeuvre, instructor says indicator, and then I turn my indicator off. And obviously that's not good, because all those dangers for bikes of cars that do that, leave their indicator on unnecessarily or put it on in the wrong place, all those dangers apply equally whether it's their indicator or yours. It's just as bad if you're indicating left along a road and somebody pulls out in front of you because you'd forgotten to cancel your indicator. It's a 20-mile-an-hour road, this one, by the way. I don't know if you spotted that. That's why he's got to drive between the speed bumps, because he's going far too quickly. And it's a good reason for it being a 20-mile-an-hour road down here. There's lots of children playing. And obviously they're probably parents of some of them, but know that theirs are inside, maybe. Anyway, back to the topic. So, the problem that I had, say 50% of the time I'd forget to cancel my indicator. After 20 some years of driving and having them cancelled for me by the car, it's quite a habit to break, and I've nearly broken it. But I still do leave my indicator on from time to time, and I've been trying all sorts of things. The main one that's helped to get me out of the habit is every time I'm going into a corner, and that involves indicator, obviously not just going around bends, thinking about turning it off, and turning it off quite early, and that seemed to help. But it still caught me out on my test. When I did my module 2 test, I did get one minor fault for leaving my indicator on, and it was the one that still gets me now occasionally. That I'd come around a corner to the left, and there was one of these, not an emergency ambulance, but one of the ambulances that they used to pick up the elderly to take them to hospital or take them on a day out, whatever it might be. And it just slammed on its brakes right in front of me after I'd turned round to the left. I was actually following around the corner. He slammed on his brakes and just stopped without indicating. And I stopped behind him. There's not what else I could do. And he was opposite parked cars, really a bizarre place to stop, so I assumed that something had happened in front of him, and I waited for him to pull away. And I waited for a minute. And all of this distracted me enough so that when I thought, well, I'm going to go around him now, and I did, I forgot that I hadn't cancelled my left indicator. That bit of remembering to cancel it had gone out the window because of the emergency stop I had to do behind the ambulance. And I got almost up to the next junction on the left before I realised my mistake, and alongside that junction when I actually cancelled the indicator, and he said he gave me a minor fault for that, but I was lucky. He said if I'd carried on any further up to the next junction, that would have been a major fault, and I would have then failed my test. For you. Now, over the not very long time that I've been riding, I say I have managed to remember most of the time to cancel my indicators, but I still, maybe only 1% of the time now, but I still do make the error of leaving them on occasionally and putting myself at risk by inadvertently giving the impression I'm going somewhere I'm not. So I started with a question, and I'm going to finish with a question. If you've had a similar problem to this, if you've had a habit that you've just struggled to get out of on riding your bike, how have you managed to get rid of that habit? Anything that you can suggest, I'll be happy to try to make my riding safer. So there's my question, YouTube. If you've got any answers, please leave them in the comments. If you can comment. Thanks, Google+. If you can comment. And I'll give them a whirl. So, thanks for watching. And I'll talk to you again soon. Ride safe.